Hello, accounting students. Welcome back. We are still working on Chapter 9, right? Accounting for a merchandising business organized as a corporation, and we're looking at accounting for purchases and cash payments. Lesson 3 deals with posting from a purchases journal. Now, one of the things that we want to be thinking about is that we just learned that the business that we're working on, 3 Green, that the purchases journal has only one column that has an amount listed in it. And that amount is always listed as a debit to purchases and a credit to accounts payable. So one of the things that we want to keep in mind is that we have to make sure that we're frequently posting the information that they're putting in our purchases journal so that we pay our vendors on time. Because the reality is, if you don't pay people on time, then they won't let you buy things on account anymore. So we want to make sure that the reason we understand we need to deal with this on a regular basis is so that we can continue to purchase things on account. The other thing we need to kind of keep track of is that when we're putting the information in the journal, we want to be clear about where the information is coming from. We need to leave a very clear trail for an auditor to be able to look at and find information so that anything that we do can be traced back to the source document. So lesson 3 in chapter 9 deals with posting merchandise purchases to an accounts payable ledger and a general ledger. So as we move forward here, what we're seeing is the purchases journal, and we're looking at the information here. So first thing we're going to do is write the date in the column of the vendor account and write the journal page number in the post reference column on the account. So it's page 11 from the purchases journal where we're posting on the vendor account here. So the vendor is Win Lighting. We're putting the credit amount here in the vendor account, and then we're going to add that amount to the credit column in the previous credit balance. So we have a new credit, so we're going to go ahead and increase the credit balance on this vendor account. So then again, we're going to make sure that we just are very clear about putting the vendor number in the post-reference column of the purchases journal. So that vendor number we know is 260. We're going to make sure that we use that information in our purchases journal. So totaling and then ruling up a purchases journal. So you can go ahead, you can see all of the transactions for the month of November that are in our purchases journal. And notice that we have that single rule. So just a reminder, whenever we have that single rule, a single line under the columns, we know that any numbers above that line are to be added up. So anything above the line, we're going to add up the total of all those numbers. Make sure that we know that, hey, the date that I'm totaling this up is the 30th because it's the end of the month. Here's my total column. And then I know I have a total amount here because I have the double rule under it. Okay, so remember the double rule means that we have verified the amount in that column as correct. So we're just going to make sure that we know that the purchases journal is totaled and ruled, so the double rule line, the 2 lines at the end of the month, to prepare for posting. So we totaled all these up, they total $21,587.17, and there's the double rule underneath there, so we verified and confirmed that number. All right, so now we're going to post the total of our purchases journal to the general ledger. Remember that the purchases journal kept track of all the different vendor accounts that we deal with on a monthly basis. And then now we have the total from our purchases journal that we're going to put in the general ledger. So you can see the date that we're using is the 30th, the end of the month. You can see that the journal number we're using to do our entries into our general ledger is page 11 of our purchases journal, so P11. You can see that we are using the correct totaled amount, and you can see then that in our purchases journal, it's a debit, and in our accounts payable, it's a credit. So we can see we've got our purchases where we have a debit, and our accounts payable we have a credit, and we have totaled our account balance section, and we have a debit balance in our purchases, and we have a credit balance in our accounts payable. All right, don't forget that you need to include the account number for both the purchases account, that 5110, and then also that accounts payable account, and you can see that that number is the 2110. All right, so our questions to audit our understanding, make sure that we get it, like we know what we're doing here. So first of all, why should a business frequently post from the purchases journal to the accounts payable ledger? And you just want to remember that you need to do this so that you pay people on time, because paying people on good time is how you continue to have credit and people continue to let you buy things from them on account. Why is it important to record a posting reference in the accounts payable ledger? You need to know where the information is coming from, and you need to be able to track back to your source documents to where is this information coming from, and you just need a nice clear trail. So that's why you always need to reference where your information came from. And then finally, why is the vendor number written in the post reference column of the purchases journal? And remember, we looked at that in the purchases journal, but again, clear audit trail. Okay, so you just want to make sure you have all kinds of really good audit information so that as you're going forward, or an audit potentially would happen, that's important. One of the big ideas in this chapter that you want to make sure you really think about is how your accounts payable ledger can help your business maintain a good credit standing. And again, it's got to do with timely payment of your bills. So making sure your business stays in good standing credit-wise is pretty important, and this is a big component of that. All right, so that was the end of lesson 3 for chapter 9. Why don't you go ahead and do the work together and on your own before you blah, 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 blah. Isn't that funny? Because all of a sudden now my mouth is full of garbage. Anyway, don't forget to do your forms before you do your work together and on your own. And if you listened to this video all the way to the end and you heard me blah, 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 send me an email so that I know that you did. I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye.